Hi, Michael. How are you today?
I'm great, Lisa. How are you doing?
Good, good. I'm excited to see your progress on the Ball-Paylore Miniature House.
Well, thanks. I've been having a really good time with it. Some really interesting challenges, some new things, new challenges, and new solutions. So far, I've been able to stay on top of the solutions pretty well. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the process. And people talk about that. They talk about the joy of the process, and that's what it's been for me. Anyway, yeah. We can take a look here. Right now, I have been spending a lot of time uh, developing the roof of the Ball-Paylor home. It has a very subtle slope to it, very subtle, only 3.5 degrees or so. So it's almost flat, and it's a hexagon also, which makes things, so there's some math involved and getting all the shapes to work out. But what I did, and I know we got a glimpse at this last time, but I developed initially a framework and it's a mixture of brass for the main supports, and then some augmented wooden supports. Uh, this is the southern face, of course, is this round area where our solar shade rotates around. This area here represents the front of the home. So, so after creating the framework, which has to be really strong because it's being lifted by that ram in the center of the project to raise and lower the roof, then I began to develop the internal woodwork. And if we look at,
Wow.
we remember some of the photographs from the interior, I'm sure we'll get to some of those. Um, these thin planks that go across the roof and run perpendicular to the main rafters really are a beautiful architectural element. So I've been so that that was just a kind of a Zen time-consuming type thing, because I'm not quite done. As you can see, there's a couple little segments to fill up in the top, but there's over 300. I lost count, but hand cut pieces uh, and hand fitted to go ahead and conform to the roof. Um,
I have a question on the exterior of the roof. I noticed when the very front piece has got there's something white on that. Is that met? Is that a what is that? The
that
white part on the very front of
well,
the exterior of the roof.
the original structure had um, a a coating across the roof. There was a structure underneath it, and the roof has a very subtle stepping to it. Okay, and I'm actually going to show you a piece of what that looks like. But the roof is actually stepped subtly as it goes down from the top. And we touched on this a little bit last time. Arthur Brown did a church in Tucson that has a more exaggerated, but conceptually the same kind of stepped roof. And I think I think it helps slow down the water coming down the roof, and it probably sounds wonderful too when it's raining. But since there are no gutters, I think he was looking for ways, and especially with some of the materials that were available in his time too, to go ahead and create the sculptural effect and break up the large flat planes of the roof too and make it structurally sound. So there is this stepping that occurs, and it's a really nice texture. It's a little hard to read right now, white on white with the lighting the way it is, but that will that there we can see it better
Oh,
there.
no. Okay.
Okay, so that happens across all 6 panels of the roof. I put one in here. I just kind of mocked it up and put it together for the sake of today's viewing. But that will happen. That will occur around all 6 faces of the roof.
Excellent.
So that's where that's happening right now, and I'm piecing together the external pieces, and then strategizing. I've got a brass central mount here, uh, which is very strong, and that will attach to the ram that raises and lowers the roof. So that's where we're at this point with the roof structure. That will eventually be stained with two types of stain to get that kind of grayed out, washed out, almost weathered kind of look that all the wood in the house structurally has. So that'll be in the next phase. Next time we get together, you'll see that all stained, and I think it'll even be richer, you know. And then I've been working on the structure itself, and as as we've talked in the past, I can't really go ahead and essentially glue it all together yet, because I'm still working with it in sections. I'm developing colors and doing some detail painting. As we've noted before, the entryway to the Ball-Paylore home, and as you can see here, is very distinct in that there's Brown chose to color the brickwork in the entryway with this kind of teal color, which really points you to the entryway of the house. I think it's really interesting. So I've been working on, I started out with the brick panels, which are just these sort of plain red brick panels, and then I grout them just like you would do on a real brick wall, and then I apply the paint. So the effect is very much like the real thing. Then you can see here too now what I'm doing. The brick has sort of a whitewashed look to it a little bit. It's not real strong, and I've been working hard to get some of the nice subtle variations in color that one sees when we look at the pictures of the actual house.
So when you do that, do you work in sections of the wall when you create that whitewash, or because I'm noticing you have some really dark bricks in that overall wall? Do you paint them individually, or do you kind of paint sections and then go back and rub away? Or
you know what? I have a palette of like 3 colors. I'll lay an initial base tone down, and then I'll work various shades on top of that, essentially painting a brick at a time. There's no quick way to do it in this part, in the outer section of the home, because that is all regular hand laid brick. So the mortar joints are exposed, as opposed to this section of the entryway and the interior walls, where both the mortar and the brick are painted. So the exterior walls present a little bit different of a challenge. The look is actually, I think the video tends to accentuate the contrast here. It's not, the darks and the lights, the range isn't this strong. And then what I'm going to do eventually is continue to work the surface and do a nice white wash over the whole thing, so it really brings all the tones together and captures the look of the real structure, which has that sort of whitewashed look again, which runs through the whole thing.
that's one thing I really love about this project, the attention to the detail that you're starting to get into right now, so that each brick is getting some attention, even though even though overall you didn't just, like I just was asking, you didn't just paint it over and then rub it away. You actually mixed 5 different colors. That's awesome.
Yeah, and a little brush that's just
Yeah.
a nice of a brick. So, and one gets the touch, but it's still a labor of love, you work on creating that a planned randomness too, which can be difficult. And you, with your painting background, I'm sure you can appreciate that. When you try to create a random effect, it's not always that easy, because your mind wants to go ahead and start seeing patterns and things. So anyway, yeah, I'm feeling really good with what's starting to happen there. And then on the rest of the interior, I'm working along with some of the color samples that I've been given with the color palette to go ahead and create other walls and the appropriate colors for the interior. So right now, and again, we're dealing with color correctness and different lighting here, but working off the palette that was supplied, I'm developing now the colors for the inside. This is the initial coating of paint. And again, I'll do a light wash on it just to mute things a little bit so that they look more in scale, like they're a really big thing, but we're looking at it small. And so, you know, that requires constant attention to going back and forth with the blueprints, with the floor plan, and just verifying that all the walls and walkways, doorways, closets, heating and air conditioning, all those areas are being appropriately blocked out. What I'm going to do now as the next part of the structural phase is to develop the interior core section here. In the actual structure, there's a fireplace, and I've designed this mechanism to fit within the walls of the fireplace, so it'll be hidden. And so that'll be interesting. Develop the core section, and then I'll continue again with more painting and finishing of interior walls. So I'm working through the palette right now. There's a kind of a lot of the interior is sort of a terracotta color. That's going to be very nice, and we'll kind of balance out this interior because we've got a strong tone on the left side too, on the eastern bedroom, very much in the same kind of tonal value as what's happening on this side. So there's going to be a deep, more bluish gray color on that side, and then this warmer color on the inside. You know, and those were things that he did to, since there are openings in the back where there are patio doors that go onto the back deck. This way, the sun can come in and warm up these interiors and really use the color to absorb some warmth and create a real warm atmosphere for the inside of the place. And so, yes, I'll be working my way around the structure. And also in the next phase, I'll be developing the mechanism for rotating at least one of the rear solar shields. So, and that's, again, are those panels that revolve around the back of the round patio. And we can see, you know, kind of in the round feeling of the back of the building, that's where those solar shades rotate. So that'll be coming up next also. I'm excited to get those into place and design the mechanism to go ahead and make that move. So yeah, so and these features will be, you know, as we've discussed, this will all be enclosed on a beautiful pedestal with clear acrylic top in the museum. So we're designing this so that these moving features can actually happen from outside of the pedestal, so that viewers will be able to see the roof rays and the solar panels or the solar shades rotate without having to get inside the case to try to do that. So so yeah, things are proceeding well. You know, I'm going to be continuing to work around the outside, getting all the brickwork done and finessing those color palettes for the developing internal color, and then really concentrating on the solar shades. I've also been reviewing and developing my strategies for the interior furnishings. There's a beautiful long bookcase that happens along this major interior wall, and I'm looking to duplicate all the books in the library, so we'll be able to see exactly, because we have, you know, thank goodness all those books have been preserved. It's there as a permanent record of their actual library. So so I'm gonna do my best to replicate that and you know, give you a sense for what it was like to live there. So yeah, I'm reviewing the built. There's some wonderful built-in furnishings. Everything's got a nice mid-century modern flavor to it, as well as some movable chairs and tables that happen and exist mainly in the back portion and in and around the kitchen of the home. So so that's going to be exciting too. I'm really excited to go ahead and there's some great built-in appliances in the kitchen, and I'll be exploring developing those things as well. So that's kind of where we're at here in June, and but you know, things are progressing well, and the excitement is still lives. So you know, looking forward to moving ahead here.
Yeah, it's looking really, really great. I have one question, and then we can probably wrap up for today. I'm just looking at it's sitting on the actual base it's going to be secured to, correct?
Yes.
And so I was just curious, when are you going to do the floor surface? Because you'll have to touch the walls sooner or later. And will you do that before you touch the walls? And what step of the process?
That's a good question. And I was anticipating you asking that, because right now I'm working so much on that floor, taking off, putting back on, adjusting these walls, and I'll be doing that for a while yet. That execution on the concrete floor is going to happen down the road, because otherwise I'll ruin it by all the work I still have to do right in that and on that area. So that's every once in a while I've got some gray paper around, and I'll slide it on there just so I can make the connection and see how things are relating. But in terms of the actual finishing of those surfaces, which I know is going to be real interesting, that's going to have to wait for a bit, just because of you know, just the realities of the construction at this point. So because it'll get scratched and ruined, and so I'm holding off on that.
All right, I was just kind of curious if that is challenging not to have it there or not. But anyway, it's looking really, really great. I'm excited. I can't wait to see the progress next month. It's so exciting always to see the colors and the textures start to come to life on the walls, and see the building starting to really take shape now. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we here at the museum, we're getting ready for the piece as well. As you mentioned, we just had a conversation about the pedestal and what's going to be required to be able to present this in a way that the public can interact with it. So we're working on that our part of the project here, and it's going to be exciting to actually put it in place on the pedestal when it comes to October.
Awesome, and I'm sure we'll have follow-up conversations regarding that, because there's other options and things we can discuss. But yeah, you know, we have options, so that's exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me again this month, Michael. It was always fun to come see what you're doing in your studio, and we appreciate it.
The pleasure's mine, and as always, give my best to the staff, and you know, continued success at the museum.
I want to thank all of you who've been joining us for these webinars and seeing the project come to life. I want to remind you that the museum is fundraising for this project. And in addition to the house, not only do we need to develop the building itself, but we are also creating the pedestal, as we just mentioned, and we're creating resources for you to be able to learn more about the piece once it's here in the gallery, to learn about its history, the history of the Ball-Paylore, to learn a little bit more about solar energy and some of the ideas of sustainability that this early architect was putting into place with this design, and how it's affecting design today in the desert. So I hope you'll consider giving a donation to the museum, to the Ball-Paylore project. You can make that donation right on our website. You just go to the main page, click under Exhibitions, Ball-Paylore project, and it'll take you there for some more information and an opportunity to contribute. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.